Hi, Country Mouse. Can you hear me okay? Keep your eyes on the internet. Hi, Fran. How are you? Happy Saturday. I hope you're both warm and cozy. Okay, good. Good, Jody. Keep your eyes on the internet because there's a couple of people posting that there's a body been recovered. So let me know. Should be interesting, right? Should be interesting. Yeah, things are starting to pop up. I'm compressed again. What the hell? Oh well. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Miss Mary. How are you? Happy Saturday. It's cold here, friends. It is cold. Probably not as cold as a couple other places, but it's cold here. So I just wanted to hang out for a little bit on our Saturday get together, see how everybody's doing, touch base, and just gossip a little bit. But there could be some breaking news that's happening right now. So keep your peepers open for that and let me know in the chat if you guys see anything confirmed, right? Confirmed. So we are under a cold weather advisory until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we are supposed to be in the negatives here. It feels like negative 14 in New York City. I can imagine, Fran. Fran, you know what the one thing I think about with New York City is the wind whipping down in between the buildings. That's the one thing I remember when we would go into the city, right? Is the wind would just be horrendous because it would be going down in between the buildings, and it was just crazy. But stay warm, Fran. Stay warm. Get your onesie on, put your heated mattress pad on, put your socks on, get your spa bags. Very windy today. Yeah. It was windy here, very windy here last night. We went out for Friday fun night, and as we were coming home, it started to degrade. The weather started to degrade very quickly, and over in Butler. But then as we got closer to our house here at Lilleybugglane, the weather improved. But then later in the night, it got bad here too, and the wind picked up, and we started having like squalls come through with whiteouts and everything. And the wind, you could hear the wind against the house. Upper 70s all day. Oh, Kelly, you're killing me, Kelly. You're killing me. No pun intended, Kelly. No pun intended, but that's how it goes, right? It's 62 right now. Kelly, is it a warm 62 or is it a chilly 62? Because like up here, right, in like the northern part of the United States, we have like a chilly side to the temps and we have like a warm side to the temps. Do you know what I mean? Depending. I guess warm. Oh, man. Oh, I'm so jealous. Fran, I am so jealous. I'm so jealous. Kelly sent me the temperature from yesterday or last night, and I think it was like in the 80s, wasn't it? You're never late, Karen. How are you? Happy Saturday. I hope you're keeping warm, friend. It's cold here. It's cold here. I know it's cold there too. Karen. You know, we're under the cold weather advisory. It's 14 there, but you had sun. Now, we had sun this morning, Jody. Beautiful blue skies and sun. The birds are already mating. Get a room, you tweeters! Let me tell you something. When it gets to be springtime here, and I'm out on the patio, and they're like doing their business on the fence, the top of the fence, that's what I yell to them. Get a room. It's hilarious, right? It's hilarious. We did see a lot of cardinals today in our back area, in between the backyards and stuff. There were a lot of cardinals flying around, and at one time, I think Chewy counted like five male cardinals at the very back corner of the yard. They were on the patio. Oh my gosh! What was Libby doing? She's not used to seeing that kind of stuff, Kelly. What's up with that, right? What's up with that? Snug as a bug. I'm so glad, Karen. I'm so glad. We're snug here too, and you're going to hear the Duraflame because it's on. I have my fleece tights on, friends. I certainly do, because my tootsies are cold. Why are you laughing, Kelly? You have shielded that poor girl, so she doesn't know. She doesn't know about that stuff. She certainly doesn't, unless you're playing the Discovery Channel on the TV for her. Yeah, they are fresh little birdies, right? They are. Let me see, Jody. 14 there, sun all day, and it was nice. And we've talked about she's domesticated. She's not feral. Not sorry. Oh. Jody, we've talked about that before, right? And I think everybody's kind of the same consensus that as long as it's sunny, I don't care how cold it is outside, right? But I want to see that sun. I want to see that sun coming through the windows, coming through the shears, And can I tell you something? I am on the hunt for some more of the lace shears, because Chewy wants to put them in our bedroom, right? And I'd like to kind of start replacing the shears in the front with those lace shears that I put up in the guest bedroom, because the sun coming through those is so pretty. It's so pretty. So I've been on the hunt for those at the Goodwills and stuff. And funny enough, I haven't found them. Isn't that weird? That is weird. It kind of goes in spurts. But I did get a couple of goodies at the Goodwill in Butler yesterday, so I'll be sharing those with you on Monday. And I'm going to include a favorite of ours here at Lilleybugglane. It came highly recommended by someone, and we have fallen in love with it, and I want to share it with everybody. Or for those of you that I haven't shared it with yet, I will share it with you. So I'll include that as a little extra segment in the Monday video, but it should be good. So it should be good. She gets freaked out by a gnat. Does she really? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, you would think you have those little lizards down there, don't you, Kelly? Do you have those little lizards? Because I would think when you let her out of the cage, if she saw a little lizard, she'd go after it. But that's outside, right? You have the little lizards outside. Aw, she's so sweet, right? She's so sweet. You were so nice to do that. Nanny Carrie's here, everybody! Nanny Carrie's here! Carrie became a nanny! She did! Everybody congratulate her! It's official! Carrie, I figured out why I liked nanny so much. Not only because it sounds British, but because of Nanny Fee, right? That's in a movie, right? Yes, it is, isn't it, Carrie? Isn't it? Oh, thanks for stopping by, Nanny Carrie. So happy for you. So happy for you. What a nice little treat, right? Nice little treat. So Carrie is a nanny, and that's what she... Yes, right? Right. Right, Jody. Um, Carrie picked Nanny as her name, so that's wonderful. So it was very, very exciting. Very exciting. So, oh, right. It was funny. We were having dinner tonight, and Louise says, she looks outside and she says, "It's still light outside." She says, "That's a good thing, isn't it?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." And it was like 5:30 because we eat dinner in the 5 o'clock hour. That's usually our dinner hour. Mima, when you become a grandma, that's nice. I like that, Fran. I like that a lot, Mima. Yeah. You want you want to pick something, right? But keep this in mind. You don't want your name to be the first name that the baby says, right? Because you want it to either be mama or dada, right? One of those two, right? That's what you want the baby to say first. That's why when they're babies and you cradle them in your arms and you're looking at them, you say mama, 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 like that. And you go da, 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 da. And you go, oh, 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 and they'll mimic you, right? Babies always do that, right? And you kind of go like this on their face and you go, oh, and they'll go, oh, right? It's so cute to see the babies on YouTube when they do that. But you called your mom Mima. Uh-huh. Grammy. Right. Ganny. Right. We just called my Mrs. Smith's mom and dad were Grandma and Grandpa Lilly, and then my dad's parents were Grandma and Grandpa Smith. So I think it just depended on, like, maybe regionally where you were as to if you chose a specific name to be. You know what I mean? But I like Nanny. Mima is a really good one too because those are easy sounds for babies to make, right? So you can kind of get them used to ma 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 ma, you know what I mean? And na, that kind of a thing. But it is kind of cute to hear them try and say, certain words like, grandma or grandpa or papa or mom, Mima or whatever. So, but that's nice. That's nice. I have a friend who's a cha-cha. She decided she wanted to be cha-cha. So she's a cha-cha. And I have another friend who's a yaya. She's Greek though. So I think yaya means grandma in Greek. Or it could mean old lady. Either one. I don't know. But so it's fun. Basically too, you can pick your name, but what it's gonna be whatever the grand little calls you, right? It's gonna be whatever they decide to call you, right? So, or whatever they feel comfortable with, right? Right. So, and then you just kind of grow into it, right? Right. I know back in the day, like with the pioneers and stuff like that, they would say ma and pa, right, for their mother and father. And then it was grandmother and grandfather for their grandparents. A lot of the pioneer books that I've read, which the Little House on the Prairie ones and like the Anne of Green Gable ones, which that's not really pioneer, but they do refer to their grandparents as grandmother, grandfather, grandmère, grandpierre. You know what I'm saying? So, but the mom and the dad were always ma and pa, right? So, and I think in England, they refer to their dads as papas, if I'm not mistaken. So, I'll tell you something, friends. Let's get into it, shall we? Talking about mas and pas, right? Let's get into it. So, I sent out the clip of the 1996 movie Ransom, where Mel Gibson is in the newsroom and he offers the $2 million lottery ticket for his son, right? And if you haven't seen the movie Ransom, it's from 1996. Mel Gibson. I thought it was Liam Neeson. I had him mixed up because Liam Neeson, there's a movie called Taken, which is basically along the same premise as Ransom. It's just done later. You know what I mean? And I sent it off to a few of you, right? And where he gets up, you know, because his son is kidnapped. He's a multimillionaire businessman or something like that. I've never seen it. I've never seen that one, Carrie. I almost called you Nanny. I've never seen it, Carrie. I'm not a huge Liam Neeson fan. I'm really not. He looks like he wears a toupee. Oh, right, a bad toupee, right? But anyway, so Mel Gibson is a businessman, and his son is kidnapped, and there is a ransom, right? And he gets up at the newsroom on a news broadcast, and he has all the money spread out in front of him on the desk, right? And he decides in a split second, right, that it's not going to be a ransom, it's going to be a bounty. It's going to be a lottery ticket for somebody to get the kidnapper, right? And it ends up, you know, everything works out fine in the end, right? But that's what I was referring to with Savannah Guthrie, who is now begging, right? Begging for her mother's return so they can have peace, and that they will pay. They will pay. Well, how much will you pay, Savannah? Because you didn't offer anything up front. Right? And I was talking to Mr. and Mrs. Smith this morning, right? And, you know, I was saying, you know, I would only give the FBI and the police 24 hours to, you know, give me something concrete that I could hold on to, right? And then I would take it into my own hands, and I would offer a lottery ticket, right? You would offer a lottery ticket. And yeah, I think they got proof that she is not alive, Fran, because just before I logged in, I saw a couple of things where there could be a body. Well, I'm stuck on that, Kelly. I am stuck on that. That is what I am stuck on. I'm stuck on the fact that they kept saying over and over and over again she didn't have dementia. They said that constantly. If you go back and look at day one, they said that constantly. And they kept saying she needed life-sustaining medication every 24 hours. Well, are they, Fran? Are they? You do, Karen? Well, it went on 7.5 days too long, in my opinion. But that's just me. That's just me. If I don't like the way somebody's getting something done, I'm going to get it done myself. That's the way it feels very weird, doesn't it, Karen? It does. Yes. That's why I'm not wondering if they know. That's why I'm not wondering. And, you know, in the ransom clip with Mel Gibson, he says to the kidnappers, once he says this is a $2 million lottery ticket, he says into the camera, do you know anybody that wouldn't sell you out for $2 million? And he says, I don't think so, right? So everybody has a price. Everybody has a price, right? Everybody has a price. And Savannah has money, right? So just start at $1 million, and if you want to go up to 5, and let that be your limit. But something's got to get that ball rolling, right? Something's got to get that ball rolling. It just is so bizarre to me. And in my opinion, right, it doesn't speak very highly of law enforcement in the area, and it doesn't speak very highly of the FBI. In my opinion, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Again, friends, we are in 2026, right? We are the most technologically advanced that we have ever been in society, right? And we've got an old woman that's been missing for almost 7 days, and they have no idea where she's at. You've got to be kidding me. Yeah, Kelly, I saw that. I think that's to drum up sympathy, because that's been out there. That's been out there since November. It has. And I saw people in the comments saying that Savannah didn't make it any secret that she was from Tucson. So, and that some of the neighbors didn't even know who Savannah's mother was. They said they didn't even know that Savannah was her daughter, right? So, I mean, I don't know. We don't know the family dynamic. I have a whole, I mean, did you see Annie? Did you see her? Right? And, the brother sitting there like, I don't know what the birth order is with them either, right? Because I'm old school, friends. I'm old school. And in my mind, the oldest takes the lead. That's in my mind, right? Because I'm old school. So if you have a birth order, right? If you're the firstborn, then you're the lead, right? But a lot of people said because Savannah is the known one of the children, that's why she was sitting in the center. But in my mind, to show strength, right, I would have had the brother in the center. Annie's the oldest. Yeah, she looked old. Not being ugly, just being honest. I mean, that was the worst video. Let me tell you something. Now I don't feel bad about my videos on YouTube. I mean, did you see that video? Did you see that video? That thing was so poorly lit. It was so far away. You couldn't even barely hear him talking, right? So I'm looking at that thing and I'm thinking the FBI set that up, and I'm worried about the videos that I put out with the lighting and the sound and, being left-handed and all this kind of, what the hell am I worried about? I'm doing better than the FBI, right? Right. But I just think that this sends, Carrie, you think that's funny, you and Karen? I just think this sends a very, very bad message. And there have been things that have happened, friends, in society, right, in the past. And I'm talking in the past, say 5, 7, 10 years, right? Well, I don't know, Fran. They looked like they might have been grieving a little bit. I don't know. You can't assume, right, that everybody's family dynamic is sunshine and roses, right, and glitter bombs, because 90% of them are not. And in a situation like this is like a wedding or a funeral or, a baptism or something. This brings out the crazy in people's. Yeah, really odd. Very odd. Very odd. Right? And, right, what did they take off of the roof? right? Because the FBI got up on the roof at the house and removed something off the roof. Could that have been a Starlink box? Could that have been some kind of a surveillance device that had been put up there nefariously? I mean, we don't know what it was, friends. But my point being, right, there have been things that have happened in society, in our society, right, in the last like 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, right? There have been events that have happened, and not necessarily violent events, right? But just these weird events that happened that kind of opened the door for it to become commonplace or acceptable in our society now, right? For instance, when Will Smith went up on stage and smacked Chris Rock, right? That to me was like a tipping point in society where that kind of behavior was going to become commonplace, right? It was going to become commonplace. And like, for instance, I was just watching a video that kind of was talking about this a little bit. This girl at the Grammys, what's her name? Chapel Rowan, the one that had the disgusting dress, right? That was hooked to rings, right? So, Janet Jackson had that nipple slip at the Super Bowl like 19 years ago, right? And her stylist has now come out and said that that was a complete setup, that they knew what was going to happen because they had rehearsed it, right? And that she actually had a pasty on, right? But anyway, but you see how we went from that, where people were outraged and were threatened with jail and everything. And then as time has gone on, we started to see more and more skin and nobody was saying anything. And now you've got this girl who obviously has nothing better to offer, right, than showing up at an award show in a filthy, dirty scarf that she probably picked out of the gutter, right, with a dirty pair of underwear on. And she stands up there and everybody hails her as the latest and greatest thing. And that shouldn't be how it is in our society. And that's one of the ways that, and they talked about it in this video, that, the cancer of degrading our society and humans is happening, right? We're becoming numb to this kind of stuff, right? We're becoming numb to it. Yeah, right? I know. Well, and they talked about when little Kim, do you remember when she wore that purple mermaid dress and she had that little pasty on and Diana Ross came up to her and went like this with her boobie? Do you remember that? Diana Ross is creepy. She's creepy as F, man. She is. She gives me, and her daughter, Tracy Ellis Ross, who was on the show Blackish. Can I tell you something she does that's disgusting? And she posts it on her social media, on her Instagram. She exfoliates in public. Like, she takes an exfoliation brush when she's on airplanes and stuff, and she'll brush herself. She'll brush her skin out in public. And to me, that is a biohazard. That's like that's like somebody like cutting their toenails or picking their teeth in public, right? And I've seen people do both of those things. Pick their teeth and do their toenails. But anyway, back to the Savannah thing. It's just so odd to me, and I cannot get past the life-sustaining medication. Yeah, Kelly, that's what they talked about. Where she goes to these 5-star hotels, resorts, and never leaves the resorts. They make such fun of her, it's not even funny. Yeah. but I can't get past this life-sustaining medication. And I talked to a pharmacy friend of mine, and we discussed it, and the pharmacy friend said that they can't imagine any medication that if she skipped it, that it would be fatal for her. They can't imagine any of the medications that they know of, and they're a pharmacy person. So I don't wonder if that was like to make the kidnappers nervous or what. I don't know. But they just kept pushing that too. And that was just really odd to me. The no dementia and she needed the medication. And I'm thinking because Mr. Smith brought this up today, that he had seen a picture of Nancy Guthrie and that the top of her hand was bruised and her arm was bruised really bad, which that is a blood thinner. So that would be high blood pressure medication. So that's what I'm thinking, is that she needed blood pressure medication. And, who doesn't have high blood pressure now, since they just lowered the blood pressure requirements again? I don't, though. I don't have high blood pressure, but because I'm always cold. But I just think it's so odd. And let me tell you something. If Nancy Guthrie comes riding down her street on a rascal scooter, I'm going to be so irritated, it's not even going to be funny, right? And then they're going to say, who kidnapped you? And she's going to say, I don't know, because I was blindfolded for the whole 7 days. I don't want her to be harmed. But this is an 84-year-old frail lady, right? And, if she was kidnapped, she wasn't eating a 5-course meal every day, I would assume, right? So it's just very odd to me. It's just very odd. The whole thing's odd, and the ransom going to TMZ, and then the ransom going to the local news. Why didn't they send it to NBC? And why did we never see people on horseback going through the brush and everything around her house, right? Why did we never see any kind of people handing out flyers saying missing or kidnapped? Why didn't we see that? And there have been people that have said, well, she's getting way too much done for her because she's Savannah Guthrie's mother, and they don't do this for other people. I would dare to disagree with that, because I have seen people that have gone missing, like on YouTube live streams where people have gone missing and they call out the troops for it. I mean, yeah. Well, I wouldn't doubt it, Fran. They say the FBI was the one that did it and that they were trying to humanize Nancy. But again, a kidnapper, how would you make a kidnapping victim, human to the kidnapper, right? Because the kidnapper, to begin with, would lack total empathy, right? Because they took an old woman, right? So, I disagree with the fact that Nancy Guthrie is getting preferential treatment, unless we're just not seeing the searchers out on horseback in the desert. We're not seeing the neighbors with the flyers, handing out flyers. We're not seeing, people have these candlelight vigils in her neighborhood for her, since she's missing. Whether she's kidnapped or not, she's missing, right? So it doesn't matter the kidnapping or the missing, right? Because a lot of the missing people end up being kidnapped. That's why, so it's just weird that they're using the term kidnapped with Nancy Guthrie, but then, with the little kids that have the parental kidnapping and stuff, they don't say kidnapped, they say missing, right? Does that make sense or not? I don't even know if I'm making sense because I've got like a million things running through my mind. But the whole thing is just very, very odd to me. Very odd. And the chances that this would be random, right? And it would just so happen to be Savannah Guthrie's mom. Just so happen to be her mom. I think the chances of that are like astronomically slim. Astronomically slim, right? And I mean, I haven't heard NBC release a statement printed anywhere on social media, right? I haven't heard them offer up any kind of reward. The only reward I've heard is the one from the sheriff's office, which was the initial one, which I think was $2,500. And then the FBI, right, put up a $50,000 reward, which is standard, right? And that's your tax dollars. That's your tax dollars at work, friends. That's your tax dollars at work. Because every law enforcement department, right, has a special fund that they draw from for like the tip line, the $5,000 they offer for the tips when there's a crime, or if somebody goes missing, they'll offer a $2,500 reward. That comes from a fund that your tax dollars paid for, right? Right. So it's just so odd to me. It's just so odd to me, right? And it makes me angry. It makes me angry that Savannah, right, and her sister and her brother aren't out in front of the cameras giving out information, right? Giving out information about her mother, and saying, if you see anything, say something, please help us, you've got $1 million bounty on your head, stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, living out my Oscar performance role in my head, but I would not be sitting there in a poorly lit room whispering, "Mommy, mommy, mommy." I wouldn't be doing that, friends. Not one bit. But they did talk about the light pollution ordinance in that area. And there was a Border Patrol agent that did an interview with Brian Enton. Let me tell you something. He wasn't too keen on the sheriff, and he wasn't too keen on the fact that they didn't bring in floodlights into that area and light that area up looking for clues and stuff back in the brush. And he went walking through the brush with Brian Enton, and they were like 20 feet from the road, and you couldn't even see the road anymore, which is weird because we don't think that like cacti and tumbleweeds and sagebrush and those big thorny things, not cactus. There's another bush that's there that's got like these real big spikes on them, and he said, the Border Patrol guy said, you could walk through there and find like hair on something. And they said that they had Border Patrol dogs there, which are better than police dogs, and that the Border Patrol dogs didn't find anything around her house. So I don't know how well that, I don't know how good the Border Patrol dogs are, but apparently better than just regular police dogs. Well, of course they'd have to be because, well, no, police dogs are bilingual because they speak English and German, because you train a police dog with German verbiage, and a border patrol dog would either be with Spanish, right, at the southern border, or French at the northern border up in Canada, right? I'm just thinking, friends. I'm just thinking out loud. But anyway, so there's that. There's that. Now, I have a theory. About about this thing. I have a theory about it. Okay? And I told Mr. and Mrs. Smith about the theory. Somebody could have a gambling problem and gotten themselves into some trouble with online gambling. And online gambling uses cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And that's an umbrella of different kinds of electronic money. Like cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is not specific unless you're using it for specific avenues, right? So a lot of that online gambling uses crypto and uses Bitcoin and other types. Yeah. I don't know why you're stuck on that. Kelly, do you honestly think, I mean, I would think it was the Mexican mafia, Trenda Aragua or whatever, right? I would think it would be them, right? Or Somalis, right? I would think it would be them, right? But I think Savannah could have pissed somebody off. I think she could have been asked to do something and she said, no, I'm not going to do it. And that she was pissed off. So she got somebody pissed off, and this is retribution for refusing to do what she was told to do by whomever she was told to do it by, right? If that makes any sense at all. Or, right, Fran, or the cartels, the Mexican Tren de Aragua, right? I mean, it could be them, it could be Mexican mafia, it could be Venezuelan mafia. I mean, it could be any of those. That would make more sense, right? That would make more sense. Or she could have gotten herself a boyfriend from, I mean, we don't know, right? We don't know. But Savannah could have been asked to do something, right? Because of the position that she holds. And she said, no, I'm not going to do that. And this could be the retribution for her refusing to do what she was told to do, right? Think about that. You sell your soul to the devil's going to want his due. Ask Thomas Massey, right? Ask Thomas Massey, okay? Or somebody had a gambling problem, asked her nicely to help them get out of their gambling debt. She said no, right? And they decided that they weren't going to be so nice about it anymore, right? Because you got to look at who would benefit from this act. Who would be the beneficiary? And I'm not talking about life insurance policy, okay? But who would benefit from this act, okay? Who would benefit, right? And don't assume that Nancy Guthrie has money like her daughter does. Well, yeah. But why did they take that SUV out of her garage? Why did they take that blue SUV out of her garage? The FBI did. Right? Why did they do that last night? They towed that blue SUV away. And what was that box that they took off of her roof today? And let me tell you something. If I was the police and I was the FBI and we were doing that stuff, I wouldn't allow some Joe Schmo, right, to put a drone up there and see what we were doing and then post it on social media, right? Because whoever the genius kidnapper was has to be watching what's going on, right? You would want to know what was going on. But in my mind, right, if you don't shut this kind of behavior down, right, this is going to open the door and this is going to set a precedent for this to happen again to someone else. Now, like I said, it's happened before to other people, but they have been deemed missing, right? Not kidnapped. And to me, that is a very interesting delineation between the two, right? Between the two. Well, her blood was there, Kelly. Her blood was there. So we know she had to have been there at some point, right? And we know she took an Uber to Annie's house, right? And then come to find out, we don't even know who called to say she was missing, right? We don't even know that now because Megyn Kelly, she's got a real good timeline, Megyn Kelly does. I just wish she would dress like she's not going out for like a girls' night or like, spicy cinnamon mint night. I wish Megyn Kelly would dress a little more because then I could take her a little more seriously, to be honest with you, just a side note. But she's got a really good timeline. Oh, Karen. Well, I was a little bit distracted during that because I was in nursing school. Oh my gosh. Too tight and too did you see her one day? She wore a shirt that went like this and total no sleeve, no shoulder. And then she had the sleeve and the shoulder over here and it went like this. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I supposed to take you seriously? You're dressed like you're going out for a girls' night to the local casual dining place. You know what I mean? That's the same thing with the news, like Fox News, which I don't even watch Fox News. Newsflash, don't watch Fox News. But seriously, every time you look at those girls sitting on that couch, you're getting a crotch shot. How short do your damn dresses have to be? And I'm sorry, but, when your cross is buried in your cleavage, I can't take you seriously when you're trying to tell me the news. I can't do it. I can't do it, right? That's just like I'm not going to take any man seriously. Here we go, friends. Buckle it up. I am not taking any man seriously that has a nose ring. I am not doing it. Okay, if you are a man and you have a nose ring or a nose stud or a septum, whatever that, the cattle ring, okay, I'm not taking you seriously. I'm not doing it. If you're a man and you're wearing a Sesame Street graphic shirt, I'm not taking you seriously. If you're a man and you're wearing skinny jeans, I'm not taking you seriously. Not sorry, right? Not sorry. But how in the world am I supposed to listen, right, to the, war atrocities that are happening in the Ukraine? How am I supposed to listen to that when, your dress doesn't even cover your ass cheeks? And it's February. What the hell are you in sleeveless in February in New York City? Fran says it's negative 14 degrees in New York City. What fool is walking around in sleeveless in New York City. The fools that are sitting on the couch at Fox News in their short dresses that are low-cut sweetheart necklines. I mean, I don't want to see that stuff. I don't want to see it. I mean, seriously. And you wear a cross around your neck. Do you not read your Bibles? Do you not? Modesty, friends. Modesty. You want to be Christmas Eve, not Christmas Day. Right? Right. And if you don't want to be treated like a piece of meat, don't look like a piece of meat. Right. Oh, sorry. Read your comment. Read your comment. Where's your comment? How does anyone even know that she made it home that night? Oh, wait, that's not the one. Her clothes are entirely too tight. Agree. Why was the blood only in the front of the door? Well, we don't know if it was inside, Kelly. They've never said. They never said if there was blood inside. I'm assuming there was blood inside. Like I said, my first thought was when they first said, because you got to go back 7 days, because this thing has morphed into, we don't even know what the hell it is anymore, right? They said, well, that's because there was a car there that she was put into. And remember, I think she was confronted she was in bed. She may have tried to fight back, right? They punched her in the face, which got her in the nose and the mouth. If she was taking high blood pressure medication, which is a blood thinner, she would have started bleeding, right? So we don't know if there was blood in the house. But on the front porch, and Brian Enton, right, was disgraceful enough to walk up to the front door and point his iPhone down and show her blood drops on the porch, right? Because Savannah's too damn cheap to hire any security to keep people off the property, keep people off her mother's property, right? I mean, I don't understand why there wasn't a security service there, right? I mean, you can hire off-duty police officers to sit there and secure the location for the family, right? Because how do you know? I know, right? We need Columbo. We do. Is he the one that always had the lollipop and he had the wrinkly trench coat? Is he the one? Peter Falk? Was that his name? Was that the actor's name? Right? But I'm sorry, when you're given news, or when you're trying to be serious about something, or you're trying to teach people something. Kojak. Okay. The lollipop. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen, Kelly. I don't think that's going to happen. Falk, Peter Falk, right? Who's the one that killed his wife that went to prison? There was a bunch of shorties, right? Like Joe Pesci, Falk, Kojak. He wasn't a shorty, but there was like a little Munchkin gang, right? And they were all like shorties, right? And they played like these, like, crusty old detectives, right? I remember the Rockford Files. Do you remember the Rockford Files? I know, right? I'm dating myself, but I remember the Rockford Files. That was good, wasn't it? Magnum PI. Boy, let me tell you something. Tom Selleck had the best 70s porn mustache ever. didn't he? He did. And you all know what I'm talking about. He certainly did. James Garner. I think he was tall, though. I'm talking about the little shorties, right? Who played Beretta? It wasn't Joe Pesci. It wasn't Falk. It wasn't Kojak, right? But there were like 3 or 4 short little guys. And didn't they all play like detectives? Beretta. What was his name? Because he said he didn't do it, right? The guy that played Beretta. Yeah. His wife, right, Karen? Robert Blake. Look at that. Country Mouse for the win. Why couldn't we remember that? Blake. Robert Blake, right? Remember that? Let me tell you something. His wife that he shot, she was a saucy little thing, wasn't she? She was a gold digger. She was an old school gold digger. She certainly was. She certainly was. There's a couple of really good documentaries about that whole situation. There are a couple of really good documentaries about that whole situation. So, oh my gosh, I am so Bunny, Betty, Bonnie Blake. And remember, she used to put the ads in the Lonely Hearts ads in the backs of the magazines and in newspapers, and men would send her $5 bills and she would send them Polaroids of herself. I mean, that's how OnlyFans used to go back in the day, friends, right? Back in the day, that's how OnlyFans used to go. So, you know, tale as old as time, right? I know. It's just the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing. Let me tell you something. Jody. Put the girl that I'm obsessed with. Put her name in the chat so everybody can see it, because I want everybody to go check her out. I am obsessed with this girl that does shorts on YouTube. I don't know how in the world she came across my feed. Somebody's been watching her, because that's usually how it works, right? If something weird pops up in your recommendeds, it's probably somebody that you are connected with subscription wise on YouTube, right? Because Amanda Meadows. Yes. Okay, listen. Look up Amanda Meadows on YouTube. Go to her shorts. Okay? Her shorts, not the videos, but her shorts. Yes. Has she? Well, I just found her, Kelly. And let me tell you something. I love it when she is at the Dollar General. And I love her trailer park stuff. I certainly do. And, you know, these are the people that find a hook, right? They find a hook and they just stick with it. Country Mouse, I told you, I'm going to say it. Shug. I know, right? And those white boots. I can't tell you how many pairs of white cowboy boots I have seen at the Goodwills. So many. So anyway, but check her out. Hilarious. If you just want something to just kind of laugh your ass off about. And don't forget Sid Dwyer with the guinea pigs, because they are so cute. They are so cute. They're fun to watch. Let me tell you, I would never have a guinea pig, friends. But they are certainly cute, and he is taking such good care of them. He certainly is. I mean, he found them when he moved into his house. They were abandoned in his back garden. And, for a young man like that, well, I'm assuming he's young, but for, a man like that to take on that, and he's getting them fixed and everything. He lives in Australia, friends. He does. He does. Isn't it amazing to imagine that Australia started out as a penal colony, right? It did. Isn't that the weirdest thing to think about? I know. I think we should bring back penal colonies and just drop them on remote islands. Let them fight it out, right? I was watching something on YouTube where they talked about way back in the day. Well, no, maybe not way back in the day, but back in the day, I want to say it was in Greece or something like that. They used an island, and they would send all the lepers to that island, and it was like horrific. It was like horrific to send the lepers, and that's how they tried to get rid of the leprosy. I think it was in Greece, though. I'm not real sure. But yeah, let me tell you something, friends. I'm obsessed with this Savannah Guthrie thing. And here's something I'm going to tell you. This is what I'm going to tell you. The minute they get her back, it's going to disappear. It's going to disappear. Nothing's going to be said to us. Nobody's going to say how it happened. Nobody's going to say who did it. Nobody's going to say anything. I guarantee you, they will shut their mouths and never say another word about it, which is just going to add to the whole conspiracy of the whole thing, right? Because they certainly have not been forthcoming with any information, right? They certainly haven't. And if you're asking for the public's help, then it would be in your best interest to give the public as much information as you possibly can, right? Because there are people out there that, study things that we can't even imagine. Air flights, traffic patterns, all kinds of stuff that could be of a help, right? But hopefully she will be returned. Right, Karen? Right? Yeah. Right. I know, Kelly, right? Do we remember when they were just little boys? I know. I said that to Carrie. I said I cannot believe that you are going to be a nanny, because the boys were little. They'll always be little, right? They'll always be little. So, all right, everybody, I think that's about it. I just wanted to spend some time, our usual Saturday Night Live, just kind of, throw some things around, check in with each other, touch base, make sure everybody's doing well. And thank you all so much for joining me and spending this time with me. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. Make sure that you all stay nice and warm, right? Be prepared, not scared, right? Because if you're already ready, you don't have to be ready, right? I think that was it. I think that's how it went, right? Good night, Fran. Good night. Good night, Nanny Carrie. We were so glad you're here. Congratulations. Country Mouse, thanks for stopping in. We appreciate it very much. Fran, thanks so much, Fran. And for everybody that was in the bushes, I appreciate you too. If you enjoyed your time here, leave a thumbs up on your way out. I would love for this live to get 10 thumbs up. I certainly would. Are we ready, friends? I think we're ready. I hope you are happy. More than anything, I hope you're happy and finding lots of glimmers in your days, friends. Not too many more, and it'll be spring. I hope you're healthy. Take your zinc every day, friends. It is up to us. Let's all say it together. Healthy people are not profitable, and we know that to be true. And I hope you are safe. I certainly do. Know the weather in your area so you can be prepared and not scared. Check out Max Velocity on YouTube to know the weather that is expected in your area. Make sure your notification bell is on for the channel so you know when I upload a video, we go live, or I post something on the community post page. Cover your eyes, Fran. Cover your eyes. Feel free to leave a comment down below. We love to hear from you. I think of you all often, friends. You are never far in my thoughts, and we will be together again soon. Good night, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. See you on Monday for our Monday video.